Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of The Driver's Decision. Here I have the Mini Cooper. In our modern world, cars have just become another tool. Our goal at The Driver's Decision is to reverse that idea. We believe every car has an experience of its own. We want to show what you feel behind the wheel. So this rig is a 2002 Mini Cooper S. And for those of you that don't know, the S stands for supercharged, and you can designate those cars by the hood scoop on the front. And this one in particular is my dad's. I've been lucky enough to have previous experience in these. My first two cars were actually Mini Coopers. Sadly, the one that had to go was bright red. It was the GB edition, something special. So this Mini Cooper has got a few things done to it. Recently, it decided to eat one of the valves for breakfast. So it's got a new motor put in. It's got new wheels, tires, and it's got coilover suspension that allows it to handle a little bit better. I actually got to take it autocross racing recently, and it's really fast. I drove a C7 Corvette the same day that I drove this, and this was much faster. So the thing about these Mini Coopers is that they handle like a go-kart, and that's why I wanted one. When I first saw them and first got to drive one, I decided that this was the car I wanted because I'd been a go-kart driver for so long, and to have something that handled like that on the road was pretty amazing. So when I say this handles like a go-kart, what I mean is it's very tight. There's not a lot of play in the steering. It likes to take sharp corners. The shorter wheelbase seems like it wants to be driven a little harder than something like a Corvette, like I said before, or like the M3. It's something that you want to drive and have fun with. It's zippy. You know, they're not the fastest in a straight line. They don't ride the bumps the best. You gotta avoid the speed bumps a little bit. My buddy here, Bryce Vernon, videographer, Sluff Media, hit him up yet again. We were driving downtown the other night and we're in a parking garage and there was a speed bump there and we did a little rubbing. So right after my dad bought this, he was driving down the freeway, probably doing a little over the speed limit. This thing likes to handle the gas pedal a little better than most. And when he shifted into sixth gear, he heard a clunking noise. Decided to eat one of the valves. Had to drop a whole new motor into this bad boy. And now it's got a new motor. And so it's a little sportier than the original one. It's got an overdrive pulley on it for the supercharger, so it gives it a little bit more horsepower in the mid-range. And for me, I like that. The bottom end doesn't need to be superior in one of these. They don't have a lot of torque anyways, so mid-range is where it's at. So as with any vehicle, there's a cost to the experience. And in the past, I've been rating the vehicles a little roughly. We came up with a grading system for these cars. And the way that we're grading them is we're grading them from fuel efficiency on a scale from 1 to 5, overall cost from 1 to 5, versatility, maintenance costs, and fun factor. So this we rated at a 4 out of 5 for fuel efficiency. And the reason for that is because it gets around 27 to 28 miles to gallon on the highway. And for me, that's pretty dang good. For any enjoyable sports car, or any car for that matter, anything over 30 miles to a gallon is about as best as you're gonna see. So for this to get 27, 28, I think that deserves a 4 out of 5. So on the cost rating, I also gave this a 4 out of 5. The reason for that is they're pretty cheap, to be honest. The Mini Coopers I think are underrated for what they are. You know, the way that they handle and the overall aftermarket upgrades you can add to them, along with the supercharger, fuel economy, all that. You can find one for around $7,000 for a good operating one. What's weird is that these cost so cheap is because they're so rare. I looked on Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace a little bit to find a Mini Cooper S like this one in similar condition, under 100,000 miles, and I couldn't find one of this generation anywhere. I mean, I probably found 3 or 4 maybe. And when we were downtown and at the Autocross event earlier this week, we were the only Mini Cooper there. And so I kind of find it funny that a car like this is so well made, so fun to drive, that there's so few of them out there. So I've owned 3 of these so far. Well, we're adding this one in there since it's my dad's. I've got a little experience with it. And the reliability and maintenance on these is pretty low. I gotta give it a 2 out of 5. To say the least, they're German made. BMW is the mother company to one of these. So operating costs are fairly expensive. This one in particular sucked a valve, which is unfortunate. And in every single one that I've owned, you've had to replace the window regulators every, I don't know, 15,000 miles or so. Should we go to the boot? All right, license plate on this. Bonus points in the comment section if you get this right. MINI4RE. What does it mean? Yikes. So on a versatility rating, this got a 2 out of 5. And the reason for that is because here we have a rather small-ish gimbal briefcase. And you can't fit too many in here, so let's try and set this in. Well, it kind of fits there, and then you have a backpack, and not much else goes in. What to do. If you can't fit more than 2 dead bodies in the back, it's not very versatile. I mean, if you chop them up, they'd fit pretty good. I am tucking my leg. Nah. Bright side is you got a dinner table when you're ready to eat. Just like eat off of it. It's like perfect mouth level. Off-road vehicle, not our us, to say the least. This thing is lower than the M3. It's got less winter capabilities maybe than the M3. It's front-wheel drive, but here in Idaho, we have quite a bit of snow. And in 2016, we had what is called Snowmageddon, and we had so much snow on the ground. And so one morning I went out to my car to get in it to go to school in the Mini Cooper, and it became encapsulated until springtime because I couldn't get it out of the driveway. And I mean, literally out of the driveway. There was so much snow, it couldn't push through it. So not a winter or off-road vehicle. So on a I'm speaking French now. Anyways. So on a fun factor scale, this thing gets out a 4 out of 5. It's fun sized. It's sporty, it's zippy. You can handle it, just about anyone can drive it. And I think it looks pretty dang good. The overall experience of this thing is pretty cool, so I think I'm gonna give it a 6.5 out of 10 based off the averages from all those numbers. Thanks for watching another episode of The Driver's Decision. For those of you that are viewing this now, I need your help. We're trying to figure out the next car to do for the next video. So if you guys have a make, model, anything that will help us figure out what we want to do, hit the comments down below with what you want to see and we'll try and do a review on it soon. And for those of you that are going to tag along, we'll see you soon.